Awesome. Yes. Okay. We are live. We are live. My phone's going off, so that's good. Hey guys. All right. I'm recording. Everything is working. Give people a second to hop in, but we are live. I'm chatting with Wil Martin. I kind of got obsessed with his TikToks because he drops like seriously awesome SEO and like content marketing strategies in general on TikTok. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to have you in the group because like this is one of our big pain points as photographers. We're creatives. We don't necessarily, love all that super techie stuff. Some of us do, but it's hard, and it changes too. So I was like, you got to come on and chat with us about SEO and kind of give us the rundown. So welcome to the group. Thank you for coming. And
Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited.
As a former creative myself, not former. Once you're creative, you're always creative. But I get it. So
you started in graphic design, right?
Yes. So I was graphic designer for probably 10 years in marketing, and then transitioned into more of the strategic SEO and content stuff. So there's a lot of crossover, but there's definitely a learning curve, and that balancing act between, being artsy and then also being strategic because you want to grow your business.
For sure.
Yeah, so I get that.
Yeah, it's a struggle, and I always have a lot, I get a lot of questions and I'm like, I know enough, but not anywhere near expert level. And we all have room to grow, anyway. So I love that. I don't know, your tips are just really great because you kind of dumb it down for us, which is really nice. It's like,
I had to dumb it down for myself when I first started because I taught myself SEO and marketing stuff. So it's kind of real. It's not like I'm intentionally dumbing it down. That's just how I learned it and how I was able to apply it. So it just works out that way.
That's awesome. I love that though, because like you said, coming from that creative background, being a creative yourself, you get it. You get like that whole mindset. So, all right, let's dive in. I know you guys, if you're watching, feel free to pop some questions in the comments. I'll be checking, but we'll kind of prepped, some slides for us. I'm going to let him kind of take it away. And I'll interject if we have like comments that are meaningful, but we'll always get back to them at the end, at the very least. So I know it's going to be very, very value packed for us, and I'm excited about it. So take it away.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you can see my screen, you have to confirm.
Yes.
Because that's just
Zoom
culture.
View options. I'm thinking, yeah, it looks good on my end.
Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm gonna run through, and Renee and I kind of chatted a little beforehand, and I haven't worked directly with photographers before, but it's a space that I'm pretty familiar with. Just as I said, being in the arts and in graphic design, it's a place I've been for a lot of years, and so I'm pretty familiar with the industry and the landscape and how things look. And so took a bunch of just my SEO approaches and strategy tips and points and stuff like that, and pointed them towards photographers because, just kind of to set everything up. I mean, it's 2020. Obviously, it's been a crazy year, but a lot of businesses online, and you guys are no exception to that. I mean, photography happens online. People book you online. They find you online. A big chunk of your business can come from online. You can get some from word of mouth, some from referrals and stuff like that. But, there's a huge just, demand out there for people looking online for businesses, for services, for things like that. So we'll jump in here, and this is just kind of what I'm going to cover pretty quickly, and then we can open it up for Q&A, and I can elaborate on any of this stuff. This is a really high-level overview, but just as an intro, in addition to what Renee said, my name is Wil Martin. I've been in marketing for about 15 years. Started out in graphic design, transitioned to the strategic side, more SEO and content marketing. I focus a lot on things like blog content, optimizing websites, but I also spend a large portion of my time helping optimize social media channels, which I'm going to talk about a little bit because I want to link these together, because one of the common misconceptions is that SEO is just for your website. And you'll see once we get a little further down the road here that it's not. It actually has bigger implications for SEO, just a holistic view of SEO. But that's kind of my background. And so I started doing, like a lot of people during this pandemic, I hopped on TikTok and just started randomly putting out like tips and tricks and stuff. And I had no idea that people had such an appetite for random SEO tips.
Yeah, right.
So it's been pretty cool, and I've had opportunities like this, and had some new clients. So everything that I'm about to tell you, I can tell you firsthand that it works because I do it. I'm doing it for myself. It's not like some far off abstract idea. These are actual principles
Right.
that I do that have gotten me business. And so you guys can take this and translate it for your photography business, and whatever it is that you do. But we're going to cover these things. We'll start with the obligatory, what is SEO? So you guys probably understand that SEO stands for search engine optimization. If you've done anything digital, you know that, but this is my definition of SEO. Search engine optimization is the art. I was very strategic to call it an art because it is an art. It's not an exact science. It's an art of creating and executing a strategy to help your website or your social channel be more visible to your target audience. And so, when it comes to marketing, it's all about visibility. You're taking your message, you're taking your product, you're taking your service, and you're getting in front of the most people as you possibly can. Traditional marketing, that's why you buy billboards, that's why you buy TV spots, things like that. But because so much business has moved online, and primarily online, SEO has become one of the primary ways to really market your business, your product, or your service. So why does SEO matter? These are kind of 3 stats that I always hang my hat on when it comes to SEO and why it's important. But 93% of all online sessions start with a search engine. So a lot of people by default, they just have Google as their homepage on their browser, right? And there's some people that instead of even typing in a web address, they type it into Google and they click on the link. And so there's a lot of people that they're just conditioned to begin interacting on the internet through a search engine. So that's a pretty staggering statistic. This one that I talk about a lot that probably doesn't shock a lot of people, but 75% of people never even scroll past the first page. So ranking is great, but getting on the first page is where you're going to get that visibility. So that's where the strategy comes in, and working your way up and making sure that you're visible on that first page, because you guys know as well as I do, we all do the same thing. You type in something, you search through the first few results. If you don't see what you want, you add a few words to it, you refine your search a little bit, but scrolling past the first page is like, it never happens hardly. So you can't really bank on getting any traffic or business growth unless you're really visible on some of these first pages of these searches. That also applies to social media, which I'll get into in just a minute. But this one was one that did shock me, and it's 94% of all the clicks on a search engine are on the organic results. So we're all familiar with the ads that pop up at the top, and it's kind of like white noise to all of us now. And I don't discourage people from doing paid Google ads or things like that, because you can get business from that, and that's great. But 94% of all the clicks on a search engine are on the non-paid results. So that's where SEO comes in, and that's where getting that organic result and not paying for it can really be beneficial for your business and for your website traffic. And so this is kind of where I tie it all in with SEO and content marketing. So if you follow me on any social channel, I really harp on SEO and content marketing, because to me, they're the same thing and they're intertwined, and you can't really have content marketing without good SEO. And this is why. So it's the know, like, trust, which you guys have probably heard when it comes to business and marketing and things like that. But the know, that's the SEO part. It's about the visibility. It's getting your content, as I said, in front of as many people as possible. And then the like part, this is the content marketing part. So once you get people to your site or get them to your social channel or something like that, are you giving them something of value? Because people want value. Ultimately, they want value. Yes, you can showcase your product or your service. You can showcase your abilities and things like that. But ultimately, people are looking for value. So what are you giving them that's providing them value? So that's the content strategy part. And then the result of that is the trust that eventually leads to someone deciding they're going to part with their money and give it to you because they trust you enough to do that. But typically, you have to have all these components for that to happen, because you can have a really, really great product or service. You can have really, really great content. If that content doesn't get in front of people, what's the point? And you can get in front of a ton of people, but if your content is not really strategically optimized for providing value, for really engaging people, then they're just going to bounce right off your site. And that's great that you had the visibility and got the click, but did they turn into a customer? Was the trust built? So this is just kind of my high level outlook on SEO and content marketing and how I approach everything. And hopefully that makes sense to everyone. But the biggest question, and probably a lot of you guys have the question, so where do I start? Like, I know SEO, there's a lot of different moving pieces. There's a lot of kind of confusing, abstract things about it, but where can I start? So if I want to start SEO today on my website or my social network or something like that, where do I start? And the answer to that is research. And I know that's kind of a nerdy answer. I love research. Everybody out there might not love research. I love it. So I'm a little partial, but you have to think of research as foundational when it comes to any kind of marketing, but especially SEO and content marketing, because like the tagline says here, in order to give people the value that they want, you got to know what they want. And so, you can work all hours of the night creating content for something you think that people want, but if they don't really want it, you just wasted your time. And so that's where this research comes in. And so I'm going to give you guys just kind of a bulleted kind of high level tips on how to do some of this research, because there are a lot of great tools out there and a lot of things that are really interesting if you take some time and really look into some statistics when it comes to web searches and things like that. So the first one is the keyword research. And so this is something you'll see me talk about a lot on my channel as well. And I really suggest, there's a lot of paid tools out there, and I'm an SEO professional, so I pay for the paid tools, obviously, because I have clients that I use it for, and it's worth it. Like, it pays for itself. But if you guys are managing a website or something like that, and you don't have like an SEO budget, try out some free tools. This is the best one that's out there from what I've been able to try. It's called Ubersuggest. It's a guy named Neil Patel, who's an SEO guru guy, and he developed this, and it does have some limitations, but it is a free tool that you can go use, ubersuggest.io, and you can use this for keyword research. And so what you'll do is you'll put your search query up here, and it'll give you keyword suggestions. And these are the two columns I highlighted here, because these are the two, if you're just starting out, these are the two you want to pay attention to. You want to look at the volume. So this is how many times monthly that search is executed. And so, just to keep it relevant to you guys and Renee, after looking at your site a little bit, senior photos. That's a great niche. That's something that people, really are going to always need, because people are always going to want that. And so there's pretty good consistent search volume for that. But the cool thing is you can see, senior photos, this is pretty broad. But you can see here, you get some good ideas for some more, specialized keywords that you can focus on to round out your strategy, things like that. And all of them have pretty substantial search volume. Anything over 1,000 is considered high search volume. So when you're doing your research, that's something to take note of.
Okay.
And then this column over here is the ranking difficulty. SD stands for SEO difficulty. And that basically just takes into account how many other people are ranking for it, what's their authority, which is something we're not really going to get into because it's super abstract, but this kind of does that calculation for you. And so, it's color coded, so it's easy for us creative types. We can look, if it's green, obviously that means it's an optimal difficulty. It's a good one to target. So even just in this one screenshot, you can see, there's a good bit of information when it comes to keyword research you can take just from this one screen. But you can go in there, you can search for, whatever your specialization is when it comes to photography or any other business, and really hone in on what people are searching for. Some of it may be surprising. You may find that people aren't wording things the way that you thought they would, and maybe they're not calling it photos, maybe they're calling it pictures, or something like that. You might find like a little subtle thing that might kind of shape how you reframe your business to get in front of more people. So this is a great tool. And then that second tip there is just to keep it broad but relevant. One mistake people make is they get too broad. So you're a photographer, but if you target photography, like, my gosh, how many photographers are out there?
Yeah.
Like your chances of getting on the first page when somebody just searches for photography are slim to none. So you really want to hone in on your specialization, what those things are. And you may have multiple specializations, and that's fine. You can optimize different pages for different keywords. But this is really where that research starts. And you can see here, you get 3, I think the deal on Uber suggests is you get 3 free searches a day. So you can go in there and search 3 different keywords and really get some insights for that. But there's not even better, but there is another great free resource, which is literally just a Google search. The way Google has made their searches, and it's called a SERP. In SEO speak, SERP stands for Search Engine Result Page. And so SERP research, I sometimes can really get a lot more out of just researching the Google search results than I can even using a tool, even a paid tool sometimes, because Google has kind of already done the work for you. So, use Google, it's free, obviously. And then note the suggestions. So you guys have noticed over the years, Google's add these little knowledge panels. They do the people also search for, things like that. And this is like a treasure trove of content ideas, of, keywords. So just here, looking for senior photos, looking at this search engine result page, I've got people also ask, so what's the average cost? Obviously, people are concerned about how much, what is a senior picture? When should you take them? That's a great question to just write a blog about, because people are asking it, or to put out content on social media or Pinterest or something for that. Can I take my own senior pictures? Obviously, you guys would be like, no, come to us.
But you could do a whole blog about that, right? You could do a whole blog about, like, yeah, can you, but should you? You know what I mean? Like, you could kind of make it fun, right?
I've done the same thing for SEO. People will say, well, I can do my own SEO. And I'm like, yeah, but you should hire somebody, because I'm living in that world. I can do a better job type thing. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a legit thing. But then you've also got the people also search for, and this is similar to those related keywords that we were looking at in Uber suggests. So senior photos, outfits, pricing, obviously, again, you got guys, cap and gown, girls. So there's a little, you can even drill down a little bit more and get some ideas for how to target some landing pages, or how to target certain blog posts or things like that. So this really is a great source of information. And, as you keep scrolling, there's even more. It's like, it just keeps giving. Like, you scroll, you'll get another panel for something. The next page, you'll get another panel. So if you're wanting to, really experience what the content that's ranking currently for a term that you want to rank for is, so that you can kind of take some of that and optimize your site for it, just use Google. It's a great resource. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, because it's going to come back later, but if you notice, the very first organic search result is a Pinterest board. So just keep that in your brain. We're going to get there. So then you've done this research, you've kind of got a general idea of some keywords that you want to target, what's ranking, some different ideas. So how do you optimize? So this is the next step, obviously, in the process. So there's 3 components of SEO. There's on-page SEO, there's off-page SEO, and there's technical SEO. Today, we're only going to talk about on-page SEO, because the other 2 do get very technical, and it's kind of one of those things that if you're super concerned about those, just message me. You know what I mean? We can talk about it. And I will do a plug too. I'll talk about this a little more later, but this is all part of my SEO 101 course that is actually releasing tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you guys how to get it for free. And so stay tuned for that.
Nice.
And that course will actually cover these other 2 things too. But for this session today, we're just going to talk about the on-page SEO, because that's really the most kind of hands-on part of it. But with on-page SEO, there's really 4 main components of that. So the copy that's on your page, the keywords that are in that copy that you're aiming to rank for, metadata, which is your title tag, your meta description, and your H1 header. If you're not familiar, the title tag is the link that shows up in the search results page. Usually, if depending on what program or what platform you're using, there's a way to specify that. And then there's a description, which is the little paragraph that shows up under the link on search results page. So all that is customizable. If you don't know where to find that, DM me, tell me what platform you're on. I can help you find it. But it's typically pretty easy to go in and customize that. And then your images. This is especially pertinent for you guys because obviously you guys are posting a lot of images on your website. But you really want to pay attention to 3 things for images: the file size, keeping it down so that your page loads quick, the file name, so the actual name of the file, and the location. So I don't know if you guys do geotagging. There's a few tools to do that. And then the alt text. So alt text is another thing that's not really seen. It's kind of, you can specify it on the back end on your website platform, but that's super important for things like image searches. It's also important for ADA compliance, which is just an accessibility thing that can boost your SEO and your authority. So these are the things to focus on for that. And I forgot to mention this, but Renee, I'm going to actually send you this as a PDF. So if you guys,
cool.
if you want to send it out or disperse it or whatever,
awesome.
You're free to do that, because we're kind of getting into the part where there's some little note taking type things.
Yeah, cool.
And then expanding your visibility. So that's really focused on your website. But as I mentioned, there's really a holistic view of SEO that encompasses your social media, really any kind of digital presence that you have. Because if you do a search on Google, you will notice, as I said, Pinterest boards show up. You will notice Instagram profiles show up. You will notice Instagram posts show up. Now, actually more. You'll notice that Twitter pages show up, Facebook pages, LinkedIn pages, all that stuff is indexed for search. So the same way that you optimize your website, you should also be optimizing your social media accounts. And there's a lot of people on obviously Google, but there's a lot of people on every single one of those platforms as well. And they're spending more time on those platforms than they are on Google. And so it's almost more important to optimize your social channels and things like that for SEO, because those things, as I said, are indexed for search, and you want to come up in that search. It's kind of twofold. You can come up in a Google search with your social media, or you can come up on that platform. So if it's Instagram, people are searching for stuff on Instagram. They're following hashtags. They're doing stuff like that. And you can become visible for those things on that specific platform. So there's just a lot of upsides to optimizing your social channels. So the first one is blogging. So this is something that is super important. This is more for your website SEO, but this is something that a lot of people don't do because it is a lot of work. You have to write content. I mean, you do need to be consistent. People always ask me, how many blogs should I post, a month or something like that? I'm like, well, you could post 1 blog a month and that's fine, as long as it's like high quality, it's good. And it's stuff that's going to get people to your site and give them value. But blogging is a great way to really provide that value for your target audience. So this was an example from just a Google search that I did, 5 tips for posing in senior pictures. So this photographer did not target other photographers, right? So she didn't write a blog, 5 lenses that I love to use, because that doesn't really speak to her target audience, which are people that are looking for help with their senior photos. So she said, here's tips for posing in senior pictures. So that's just a really strategic way to give that value. And she goes on and gives some great tips in this, and then obviously rolls it back around to, hey, I can take the photos for you. Here's a link, connect with me, that kind of stuff. But she got people on her site, and she did that by providing value to her target audience. And so once you get them there, again, making sure you've got some internal linking. You're taking them to either other blog posts that you have. You're taking them through a call to action to somewhere where they can book you, things like that. So don't just write the blog post and just leave it at that. You do want to hook them in with something, but provide that value first. Don't rush to the hook. Go ahead and provide that value. Give them give them that value so that that trust can build. And then they're a lot more likely to click through, check out your site some more, look at your portfolio, stuff like that. And then the tendency that they would hire you would go up. And then social media and SEO. So again, this is about synergy, but it's also about your brand presence. One thing, and not to get too far in the weeds with SEO authority, but authority really does matter. And a big part of your authority when it comes to search engines is your brand reputation, your brand presence. So if you're well represented across the internet on Instagram, on your blog, maybe you've got a YouTube channel, you've got all these different outlets, and they're all branded, they're all consistent, you've got your brand name on there, that really helps feed into your SEO value. And so I've seen a lot of SEO improvement from people that have gone in and standardized different channels. They've linked them together. They're making sure that they're all linking to each other so that, on your website, you've got links out to your social channels. Obviously your social channels have a link back to your homepage or something like that. And so you're kind of creating this web of your own business and your brand. And that really does help boost your SEO. And then the note that I just always tell people is to make sure you optimize for mobile, because especially on social media, I mean, I would say I don't have a hard statistic, but 90-something% it's got to be of people looking at your content on social media are looking on a phone. I mean, I don't look at Instagram on my computer.
Especially our clients too, because we work with teenagers, like the statistics with Gen Z, it's almost 100% on mobile. They're going to be on their phone most of the time. So yeah, I always tell photographers, if you're not optimized for mobile, you got to get that dialed in ASAP.
Yeah. And that just means, even your blog posts, I mean, making sure that they're laid out in a way that, imagine somebody skimming through it with their thumb on their phone. Is it engaging? Does it give them spots to stop and read? Is there bulleted lists? Is there imagery? Things like that? Or is it just a wall of text? Because if you're sitting there, I mean, you guys know, if you pull up a wall of text on your phone and start scrolling, you're like, nope, and you're backing out of it. So optimizing for mobile is just something to really keep in the back of your mind, anything you do digital. But I'm going to highlight a couple of social networks here. Obviously, you guys are photographers. Instagram, this is, where you guys fit in like a glove. I mean, you're producing high quality photo content. You want to share that out. But I will say this, share it out, showcase your work, but give value. So just stick that. And I put this all through this presentation because I hope that's what sticks in everyone's brain after this. Give value. So, showcase your work, but strategically think of a way that you can showcase your work and give some value. So give some tips about how, to use that blog example, some posing ideas. So show a great photo, but then tell how you got there and tell how, you helped the person you're photographing really frame this up really well. So just something like that, somebody that might be in your target audience would find value in, instead of just being like, hey, yo, look at my photo. Isn't this cool? Which is the tendency a lot of times. And then optimize your captions. So this is something that's relatively new, probably in the last couple of weeks. But Instagram is now searching or ranking based on words that you use in your captions. So not just hashtags.
Yeah, I just saw that 2 days ago or something like that. So yeah, that's really kind of big.
So that keyword strategy that we talked about early on, employ that same keyword strategy in your Instagram captions. Because some of those photos can show up on Instagram, yes, but also they may now show up in Google searches, the same way that a lot of Pinterest boards do, because those are indexed for search as well through the text and everything. So make sure you're descriptive and you use your keywords there in your captions, and then don't forget the alt text. So Instagram, I think in the last year, I don't remember when the switch flipped and this became a thing, but when you're posting, you guys, I'm sure have seen it, but there's a little button, you can tag people over here, and then over here it says you can add alt text. I would encourage you guys, especially as photographers, to do this. Put your name in there, put your brand name, whatever you do business as, and then put those keywords in there. So, say your name and then senior photo shoot, and then another descriptive word about the photo, by the ocean or something like that. Because you're just gonna, you know, it's not gonna like break the walls down when it comes to people like coming for your business, but like it is gonna really enhance the chances that you're gonna maybe show up in some searches and get some business from that. And, you know, it's like I tell people, I mean, all it takes is one or two that are really optimized and really start to perform well to really open some floodgates and get some traffic to your site and get you some business, get you some inquiries and consults and things like that. So it's just a good best practice to have so that you're doing it as a habit, and then all your stuff stays optimized and you're good to go. And then Pinterest. So for me, this is a no-brainer because, and I'm big on Pinterest, and it's weird because I don't utilize it as much as I should, but Pinterest is like primed for purchasing. That's what I always say, because people that are on Pinterest are already looking for a way to spend their money, basically, even if they're not consciously doing it. They're looking for an idea like, oh, how can I do this? Or how can I, it could be a DIY project, but maybe, you know, it could be a product or a trend or some kind of fashion thing they're looking for, or something like that. And so they're already in the mindset of spending money. So if you can get in front of those people and show your product, and again, give the value. So post things that are going to speak to your target audience, the things that you learn from that research, and use the keywords. You know, this is a great way to get in front of those people again. And the thing about Pinterest that I noted earlier is that Pinterest ranks very highly in searches, especially for art stuff, arts, any kind of art, creative stuff, fashion trends, things like that. You'll do a search and you'll notice like the top results are typically Pinterest boards. And then an image search is the same way. If you go to the image tab on Google, when you do a search, you'll see that a lot of those are Pinterest pins. And that's just because Pinterest is really optimized for SEO. And so definitely utilize Pinterest if you're not already. Get on there, start a business account, and get all that going. There's a lot of resources that can teach you how to do that. So definitely do that if you're not already.
Yeah, for sure.
And then my shameless plug, I'm also here to help. So this is just kind of the array of things that I do for my business, but I do give daily tips on social media. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok. Try to do like 2 or 3 a day that are useful and that can help you out, really hands-on. Also on my website, I can do a free SEO report for you. So if you're like, I have no idea how my website's doing, you can go fill out this little form on my website and I'll run a free report and send it to you. Do a free consult too, if you want to after that, and just talk about it and see if there's ways I can help you. But the cool, exciting thing is that tomorrow, on December 1st, I'm launching my SEO and Content Creator Academy. And so this will be a free community, much like what you do, Renee, but there will also be paid tiers where I'm going to do a lot of hands-on, and I'm going to be accessible for live Q&A and for coaching and things like that.
I'm joining.
And then, so the cool thing that I mentioned earlier, so all of this is kind of an excerpt of my full SEO 101 course that will be released tomorrow with the launch. And tomorrow, there's going to be details sent out for how to get the first month for free. So you can access that course for free. If you hate it, you can cancel and don't pay anything, but I think you're going to love it. But if you go to my website right here on this, screenshot, see down in the bottom right where it says sign up for updates. If you go do that today, put your email in, then tomorrow I'm emailing out the instructions for getting the first month for free. So everybody that's on that pre-launch list. So you guys go do that today. And that'll be, oh, sounds like some of you guys are. Thank you.
I'm joining. I already see a couple of comments too.
Appreciate that.
I know it's really a great resource because honestly, I think this is something that's really lacking. SEO always kind of feels like this really far away thing that a lot of us can't access, right? And so I think this is just a great idea. It's a no-brainer as like any kind of business owner, really. It really is something that we need.
Yeah, and especially for you guys, because I'm less about the technical stuff. I do care about the technical stuff, and I have the knowledge to go in and help with that. But I really focus on the content creation, which is what you guys are in the business of. You guys create content, whether it's photography or blog content or video or whatever. You guys are creating content, and so my goal is to teach people like you how to take that content and make it SEO friendly. So it's not just like, here's a bunch of nerdy research stuff.
Right.
It's I'm trying to tie the line between here's what you do and here's, you know, how to get it in front of the most amount of people. And so, as I said, I mean, I've got a background in art and design, so hopefully it's a pleasant user experience and things are nice. But there will be a free community. So if you're on the fence about it and you just want to sign up and just be part of the community, we can interact with each other. You guys can ask questions and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. So that'll be launching tomorrow.
Nice.
And I'm super excited. So that is it. If you guys have any questions, if anybody,
you guys, let me look through the comments. Sometimes they get a little, you know, laggy because technology, but you guys throw some questions in there. I think Jennifer had a question about the alt text that I answered. She was just asking, do you add that when you're posting to Instagram? And I said, yeah, it's like right when you go to when you're putting in, like he said before, like when you can tag people, there's a little other button that says add alt text. And I was kind of always told that you should kind of put what the image is about as well, right? So that people, like if it's a girl in a blue dress on the beach, you could put teenage girl in a blue dress on the beach, Renee Bowen, Santa Clarita photographer or whatever. You know what I mean? Is that right?
Yes, that is, and it's and you guys are in a cool position because your brand name and you as a photographer, that's relevant to the picture. I don't always have that luxury with some clients. You can't really put the brand name in there because it just is like feels like keyword stuffing, which is something you don't want to do. By the way, I forgot to say that.
Exactly.
Keyword stuff. So don't make your website copy say senior photos for senior photos doing senior photos. I do senior photos. You want to speak to humans, write for humans, and make sure that it makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really big thing too, like for sure. Because I think that a lot of people just get a little overzealous with this because, you know, because you don't really know, you know, you think, oh, I got to put all the keywords in there, but that's not a good thing actually. So
yeah, and that's where that tool will help you because it'll give you some other ideas and you can use all those because Google is going to look at like topic clusters, not just specific keywords. And you may notice this, you sometimes you can do a search and you'll notice that the top results don't have that exactly same wording, but Google knows that that's what they're talking about. So, you know, the AI and the algorithm, and that's all the nerdy side of it, but it's smart enough to know that you're talking about that if you use a bunch of related keywords. So don't feel like you have to use the same exact wording all throughout.
Fabiola asked can the alt text be broader or should it always be super specific? What's like your
well, in cliche SEO fashion, I'm going to say it depends. It really does depend. It can be broad. You can say, you know, I don't personally have a problem with it being broad. So if you wanted to say a senior photo of a girl, you know, and then put your name, that would be totally fine. Or if you want to say senior photo of a girl standing in front of a white picket fence, if you want to get really descriptive with it, it's fine too, you know, because there's two sides of it. I mean, there is the SEO side, but there's also the ADA compliance for people who are seeing impaired, who are listening to your website. And so you do want to create the experience for them. And so if it's pertinent that the girl's standing in front of a white picket fence, or you want to give the full effect, then go ahead and put that in there too.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So what is your, just your real quick, I think I get this question a lot too. You guys drop a couple more questions. We're going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. Okay. But I do get this question about video on your website. What's your feeling on that?
Video. So as in using video?
Yeah. So using video as maybe like something that's kind of like a placeholder, you know, like a header, or when you are like kind of embedding, let's say you're going to embed a video, should you be doing anything in particular to, you know, I mean, obviously the SEO tips that you would normally give, but like, is there anything in particular that we should be thinking about when it comes to video?
Site speed would be the number one thing. What I would say, and not being snarky, is put it on YouTube and embed it, because then you're creating that synergy. So now you're on YouTube. Make sure that YouTube is optimized as well, because I've actually got a TikTok coming out. Like it's like I recorded it yesterday. It's sitting in my drafts, but I'll probably post it today. But it basically says, when should you start your YouTube channel? Yesterday. Like that's like YouTube.
It's like number 2, right? Is it like the second biggest search engine? Yeah.
It's the second largest, it's the second most used search engine in the world, next to Google, obviously. So, you know, as much as you can put your stuff on YouTube, even for you guys, if it's like a slideshow with some music, and you just call it senior photo portfolio or something like that, and have your brand name and stuff like that, but creating that, and then you can embed that YouTube video on your page, and then you're getting YouTube views, and it just makes my heart so happy, because you're creating all this, you know, synergy, which is my favorite word, across the internet, and you're really, you know, getting people to your site, you're reaching people on YouTube, you're utilizing it on your website. It's just a beautiful thing. So I love video. I'm a huge proponent of using video as much as you can. Even if you have a podcast, even if you're like an audio format, take that, put a still shot of your logo on it, and upload it to YouTube. Like there's no reason not to just put it out there, and to you know, at least
cross-pollinate,
open the possibility of having that visibility.
Absolutely. All right, one more question. How often should we update the website copy? Does updating too much have a negative effect on ranking?
No, it doesn't have a negative effect. Here's my criteria that I live by, and that is to update your website content, your website copy quarterly. And this doesn't have to be like a huge sweeping, like, I'm going to rewrite all my copy. It can just be going in and tweaking some paragraphs and doing stuff. And the main reason is because another tendency that does hurt people's SEO is if they use their site like an online brochure and they never touch it for like 5 years, and they expect it to gain traction in rankings. It's not going to, because Google's going to think that your site is not active. That's where blogging really helps too. So even if you're doing even if you're doing once a month or once every 6 weeks or something like that, you're at least like putting new content up there, and Google knows that your domain is active. And so that does really feed into the algorithm and show it. But as far as your website copy, I mean, one of the things that I do is I'll just go in once a quarter and I'll look, is there something I can reframe? Can I move some boxes of text around? Can
I do that too.
Something else up to the header? Can I move some stuff around and kind of, you know, republish the page and see how it goes and stuff like that. So once a quarter is a good cadence.
Okay. Yeah, I want to just touch real quick on YouTube real fast, because Missy she's like, that's crazy about YouTube. Should we use it like we do TikTok? How are people using it as a search engine? Clueless about that. Real quick, you can chime in because you're the expert. I've been using YouTube since I started my photography business, like literally since YouTube began. And I didn't know what I was doing. I just was told, like, just start a channel. And so what I would do is I would literally do what you just said. I would just do a slideshow, like back in the day. And then just do slideshows of the final photos with like some BTS, that kind of stuff. So that I think really helped my rank. I was blogging too, and then I would link that YouTube to my blog. Like I would put it on that page. Again, I didn't know what I was doing, but I think it had a really positive impact on my SEO. So that's kind of how I do it. And I do think that as far as like TikTok goes, you can repurpose your TikToks for YouTube as well. So you can chime in about this too and see what
that is currently all I do on YouTube. So all of my stuff is across every platform. And I have plans once I get this academy launched tomorrow, thank the Lord, and have a little more free time. I'm gonna really optimize and put out some more YouTube content, stuff like that. But YouTube as the number 2 search engine is really indicative of what I talked about earlier, where people want value, and you can get value from YouTube. So they're looking for tutorials. They're looking for behind the scenes stuff, like you mentioned. They're looking for that kind of stuff. And you can get that more from video than anything else. And it's more instant gratification. So you don't have to read a blog post to get it. You can watch a video. It's kind of mindless. And so that's why everyone's on YouTube. And so people are going to YouTube first to look for tips, to look for.
Actually, exactly right. Just specifically for you guys who are watching as senior photographers, and I talk about this all the time in the group because I'm a Gen Z freak. Gen Z lives on YouTube. This is what they were brought up on. Like, so their first instinct is to go to YouTube. So if you've got YouTube videos on how to prep for your session, how to prep your face, make sure you do this with your wardrobe. Here's a cool shot that I love. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It could be longer. You're adding value. You're showing them, like, that is like one of the best things you should be doing for your Gen Z clients, is providing that kind of value so you can help them get ready. You can help them see what their final session is going to be like. It's a really underused tool, I think, in our market. So I'm really glad you mentioned that.
And I'll add this just to remove any barriers, that anyone may have in their mind. Don't fixate on necessarily, I don't want to say the quality, because it doesn't need to be good quality, but don't fixate on the little bells and whistles of video production, because video production can get very tedious. I did that for a while too. It's very tedious. Nobody on YouTube is expecting you to put out like a Walt Disney Pictures, tutorial on how to prepare for a photo shoot. They actually want to see just the raw, stuff. I mean, I gained traction and built an audience on TikTok, literally just holding my phone and talking about SEO and putting some words. Like, I didn't do anything fancy. And that's talking about Gen Z, that's what they're used to. So honestly, if that's what you're doing, they're probably more comfortable with that anyways.
Agreed.
As opposed to these nice transitions.
They don't want the highly produced stuff. It's
polished.
not something that that converts. It's like studies show more and more. Like, it's nice to kind of create some of that, but that is not what they want to see. That's not what they're used to seeing in their organic searches.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I did read an article of statistics about YouTube ads, and it said the ads that performed the best were literally people just like holding their cell phone and, hey, talking. Like, it wasn't the ones that were like professionally edited, like commercials. It was the ones that look, and that's kind of that trust factor too. They look and they say, oh, this isn't like a Hollywood executive. This guy or girl really knows probably what they're talking about.
Totally.
So, if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, but the thing that stuck in your mind is like, well, I don't have video editing software. I don't have this. I don't have that. Don't worry about it. Just make videos on your phone, upload them off your phone, put some of those keywords in there, optimize them, and just hit the ground running, because you'll, it's not going to take off overnight, but you'll have that backlog of content. And whoever gave you that advice, Renee, you should thank them if you know who it is, because
I don't even remember, so long ago.
That's
I was probably like
advice.
online, because I'm a research fanatic too. And I think that in the beginning of my business, I was researching, what are the best SEO practices. And I was like, okay, I just kind of like did what I researched, but it's really been cool. I mean, I think I definitely need to revive my YouTube channel a little bit more. Like, so now I have a lot more educational stuff on there too, but what's cool about it is that you can create playlists. And so you can have like your photography playlist, and I have like an education playlist. And so you can kind of have your whole, like, and that's what your clients want to see. They want to see you as like especially what we do, they want to see the person behind the business. They want to see that you have a life and, that kind of stuff. So it's just another extension of it. And again, when I tell people about this stuff, they kind of tend to freak out because they're like, oh my God, I don't have time to live on social media. It's hard enough to even be on Instagram. How do you do all this? First of all, you batch content and you just cross pollinate. Like, it doesn't have to be different content for different channels per se. Sometimes you might want to tweak the delivery of it, but really you can kind of put the same stuff on all these different, platforms.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the reality is there's some people that are on Facebook that aren't on TikTok. I mean, a lot of people, but there's people that are on TikTok that they haven't opened Facebook in a year. So you're hitting everybody where they're at. So don't feel like you have to make unique content for because that's a waste of your time, number one. And you're also going to miss out on being able to put all of your content in front of everybody. I mean, sure, there's people that follow me on all those platforms and they see the same stuff over and over, but like, that's not a big deal. They're used to that. People are used to that.
Yeah.
Especially with all the similarities between like Instagram Reels and TikTok and People expect that stuff to be cross-posted, so it's not as big of a deal.
100%.
But just, yeah, I mean, exactly what Renee just said, just make content, post it out everywhere. You don't have to live. I don't live on social media. It may seem like I do because I post a lot, but that's because I do exactly what Renee just said. And I sit down and I take an hour and I record like 30 TikTok videos or 15 seconds
literally.
and then I wake up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to post this one. And then later on I post this one. So, it's just being strategic about your time and creating it and then just putting it out there. So.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Everyone says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome advice. So thank you so much for coming on and adding this value for us. And I'm totally joining your group. So I'm excited about that. Awesome. You guys, I'll link it too in the comments of the video thread after this too, so people can like get it easily. But thanks so much. And I'll see you on TikTok and in your group.
Everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye.
See ya.